Hey, welcome back to Crimes and Closets. This is Beth in my closet in North Carolina.
This is Christy in my closet in St. Louis.
Happy Monday.
Oh, happy Monday, Beth.
You have a graduate.
I know.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
1 down, 2 to go.
Oh.
So they say.
Oh, man. Why'd you have to even word it that way? Just, I got one.
Well, yes, it is. I mean, it is silly to word it that way, honestly, because we all know, everyone knows that we're not done when we graduate.
Mm-mm.
We're more needy.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere, so.
We're more needy and expensive at that level. And I think I'm still needy. I will never leave my mom alone. 100%.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, same over here. Yeah, so.
So it is silly to word it that way. It's a milestone. Congratulations on the milestone.
Thank you. It took me a while for it to hit me because it was coming, but I was so worried about all these other things that it didn't really I couldn't set in. And then all of a sudden, once I started planning, I was like,
yeah, I'm like that too for you.
Yeah. And
we're recording before, by the way. So it's
right.
Not happened yet. She's still in the emotional lead up.
I'm in the this party central surrounding me right now. Yeah. So I'm in the prep mode or whatever. And and he's been home this week because his last day was last Friday. And so he's literally can I go grocery shopping with you? Oh, you're going to Costco? Can I come with you? Oh, let's go see it. Okay, let's go. And I'm like, what do you want?
Leave me alone, dude.
No, I mean, I'm loving it, but it's first I was I don't want anybody to come grocery shopping with me. But then it was fine because he's older. He's not like the other ones where we're just can I have this? Can I have this? Can I have this? Can I have this? And then he wanted to go to Costco because he wanted to get a churro and they don't sell them anymore.
He wanted to get a what?
Churro.
Oh, from the little food stand?
Yeah, that's why he wanted to
go. Oh, man.
They don't have
letdown, Costco. No. Where are you at?
Exactly.
So,
anyway.
Well, I'm really bummed that I'm not coming for the party, especially now because I see she gave me a little tour of all her part of her setup there and it looks real cute and I could be in charge of some real fun things and I'm just bummed, but I have a wedding and it just is what it is and I committed and I'm sorry that I did that. I mean, I'm glad that I'm going to go to the wedding, but
you're not
choices a little bit I am slightly sorry. I don't think she listens, so if you do, I'm sorry. I love you very much and you're going to be a beautiful bride and I can't wait to see you. But
yes, all the love.
All the love. That's right. Yeah, so that's what's happening. And
CrimeCon is coming real quick.
We're going to be this week.
No, next week.
No. Oh, yeah, you're right.
This is coming out on the 20th. Today is the 20th. We go on the
30th.
30th.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So.
Oh, my gosh. So I have a weekend. Okay, good.
You got a weekend to prep. Got Memorial Day weekend.
No. Is that true?
Yeah.
So my kids aren't even going to be in school when we're there. I'm not okay. Okay.
No. We're not gone on Memorial Day. You have Memorial Day weekend to prep. Oh, but okay.
My kids get done with school before Memorial Day. So
they're
not even going to be in school. And I need to tell my husband that right now. When we get off, I'm going to go tell him because he's not going to know that they don't have school.
My kid's last day is the day we leave.
I love that for us.
Mm-hmm.
I really do have. I'm going to text him right now because oh my gosh! And by the way, take off because I forgot to tell you, but the kids are going to be home. Woo!
Yep,
I'm super excited. I'm going to bring my bathing suit. Are you bringing your bathing suit? There's a lot of indoor pools. We got to go.
I'll bring it, but I highly doubt I'm even going to put it on.
Why?
I don't know. There's so much to do.
Oh, and we won't swim. We'll go sit by the pool just to be by water, but we won't swim.
Yeah, but I'll put it just in case.
Have a drink by the water.
Because if they close late, then maybe we might go later.
Yeah.
So I'm packing
making our lineup. Also, I don't know if you guys missed it, but I just want to bring it up again that we are doing a poll for the next month on Serial Killer September. Listen, I've been surprised a little bit about the results of it so far, but I will say that the majority so far has said keep Serial Killer September unless you do survivors on the regular feed, in which case replace. Because all of our Patreons over there be loving those survivor stories, and we do too, honestly.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll do that. And like, what on Patreon? I don't even, like, one serial killer? Do you want to collab on a serial killer? I don't even know how that would work.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway,
either.
We got to think about it. So I'm going to keep doing polls because I really do want everybody to have a chance. So please, if you are on Facebook or Instagram, or just email us and tell us, because we've gotten a couple of those too, or like whatever, to let us know. What do you think about Serial Killer September? What fun things would you prefer if we didn't do serial killers? And so forth and so on. That would be cool.
Yeah, because I feel like we have to do something different in September, just because. Although it doesn't have to.
Something.
Well, we don't have to replace it with something in September. It just happened to fall that way because we were like, oh, Serial Killer September. Yay, SS.
Because Beth loves a gimmick.
Right.
That's what happened.
Right. So it could be a gimmick on a different month. It could be Marriage Homicides March.
It could be.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, we could just keep going normally in September and then find it again, make another month. But anyway. So.
All right. I don't hate that. I like it. Yeah. Let's move our month. It's not a bad plan.
Yeah. Anyway.
Give me a gimmick. I'll run with it. Trust me.
Right.
I got you guys. Okay. All right. Well, if that's all the business, we love you, and I have a crime.
I'm ready for you.
Okay, here we go. Okay. So, I actually mentioned this case in an episode one time as a crazy case. I don't remember if it was a regular episode or Patreon or what, but I mentioned and I said, oh my gosh, have you ever heard of this case? But I couldn't remember the name, like the specific names of the people. So then our listener, Brittany, wrote us with the names. And she was like, you should cover this case. Okay. So that's how we got here. So I bring it up.
You're going to tell me which case it is?
No. So
I have a guess.
I'm going to tell you. You do. What's your guess?
The parrot one.
It is the parrot one. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I mentioned, like, there is this wacky case that I just heard of, and I can't remember who it is. And then I was like, I'm not going to talk about it anymore because I might cover it. Okay. So this is it. I'm covering it.
Okay.
So we're going to Michigan, Sand Lake, Michigan. Teeny tiny town. It's like 25 miles from Grand Rapids, Michigan, that area. There's only a population of 250. So like, it's like a village, honestly.
I'm like, that's my neighborhood.
Yeah. For real. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So this is the case of Marty Duram. That is the name.
Okay.
Marty R. Duram was born March 1st of 1969, which coincidentally is like essentially when we're recording.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, especially if the 29th didn't exist.
Yep. Leap day. So his parents were Charlie and Lillian Duram. He was the middle child, and he had several brothers and sisters. I'm not really sure how many, but I know more than 2.
Okay.
He grew up in Grand Rapids. Marty is described as being an all-American guy. He loved the outdoors and spent almost all of his time hunting and fishing, which is very common of Michigan people. Yes. I am learning. We've spent quite a bit of time there, and they like to be out there in the wild. He was said to have been somewhat of a loner, but that he had a wicked sense of humor.
Wicked,
baby. It was stated that Marty liked to hunt and fish more than work. And so as a result, he never really held down like consistent jobs. So he was kind of like would work to play, if that makes any sense.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't just like he liked to do that better than working because, well, most people like to do fun things better than working. But he actually like didn't hold down a job because he liked to do
That's right.
Okay.
He would rather be hunting and fishing. When Marty was in high school in the early 80s, he met a woman named Glenna. Glenna, like Glenn, is that the Wizard of Oz?
Glenda.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh my gosh. This whole time I've been thinking she was the good fairy or whatever.
Good witch of the
She's not a
East
very good
or whatever.
fairy. Yeah. Glenda, that's her name?
Or Glinda? No, it's Glenda. Now you've got me confused. I'll look it up while you talk.
Well, this Glenna is not a good witch, I will say.
Okay.
But Marty loved her, and they were like in the same fringe group, and they had similar interests. And so the two of them were kind of drawn to each other and had like a sweet little teenage romance. So Glenna was American Indian, and Marty thought that she was beautiful.
Okay.
It was said that they were each other's firsts.
Oh.
If you know what I'm saying.
Well, I know. I got it. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Okay. So did Glenna. She picked up one more. Anyway, okay. So as most high school romances go, it didn't last, and they ended up splitting up, and both of them kind of went about their lives. In 1991, Marty met a woman named Christina, and it was love at first sight, and the couple fell deeply in love with each other and ended up getting married very young. Marty, at this time in his life, I just have to say this, had one of the most impressive mullets I've ever seen. Like, it was putting Billy Ray Cyrus to shame.
Oh, really?
It was something. I am definitely going to post a pic.
I can't wait to see it.
Marty's mullet, because it is like a top-notch mullet. So they got married young, and then they had 3 kids together, 2 boys and a girl. Okay. In 1995, Marty, he was only 26 at the time. He was involved in a very bad car accident when a truck ran a red light and like hit the side of his car. This accident caused massive injuries to the left side of Marty's body and actually ended up like they were permanent injuries, lifelong. And he also had some brain trauma as a result. So he was clinically dead for about 5 minutes after the accident and then was actually in a coma for weeks.
Yikes.
He did wake up, but when he woke up, he had severe memory loss, and he had no memory of Christina, his wife, or of his children.
Oh, no.
It's like he didn't remember their births or anything like that.
Oh, my gosh.
So his friends and family said that he actually woke up a totally different person. I just cannot even imagine if Wes all of a sudden like could not remember our children.
No kidding.
Like that would be so heartbreaking and awful. But Christina, his wife, stuck by Marty, and she tried to like make things work, bring him home. He went through about 2 years of therapy and rehab. He had to relearn how to walk, talk, eat. So like he's a super strong person that he ended up like persevering through this. He did end up with some pretty severe physical disabilities. Like he had to walk with a cane. He had a lot of pain in that left side of his body, and then the memory loss issue. And it also, the brain injury also caused him to have like emotional issues where he had like problems controlling, you know, regulating his emotions and his feelings. And he would have like tantrums and fits and stuff like that. So eventually it got to be too much for the marriage, and Marty and Christina divorced.
Okay.
Marty stayed involved as a parent. He turned out actually to be a good dad, and he used part of his settlement money to buy a new home for himself on like a fairly large piece of land. He was very proud of this home. He was becoming independent, going out on his own, like kind of rebuilding his own life at that point. So 2 of his children, his 2 boys, actually ended up moving in with him. And he also took his pet parrot, Bud, with him.
Oh, Bud.
Bud the parrot. So Marty settled into his new life. He was happy, hunting, fishing, in his new home, being independent. He would hold down jobs every now and then. Nothing that would like require much physical labor, but he was really trying to like just do what he loved. He felt like he had a new lease on life, a new chance, a second chance. Eventually, in 2001, Marty ran into his old high school flame, Glenna. And the 2 of them rekindled their relationship.
By the way, it's Glinda was the witch.
Glinda the good witch?
Yeah, like Linda with a G. Glyn.
Okay.
God.
I'm so glad that we know now. Okay. So Glenna and Marty moved very quickly, and after only a few months of dating, Glenna ended up moving in with Marty and his two boys. Okay, so she had gone on to marry as well after the two of them had split up from high school, but she was divorced. She had 2 children, and who were young, and she ended up leaving her children behind with her ex-husband, which was said to have been like a very big deal because she was a good mother. And everyone was pretty surprised that she had done this, but it just shows how in love with Marty she was, that she was just like, I'm going all in here and moving in with him. Glenna was very outgoing and Marty was like quiet and a loner. So it was stated that they were a prime example of how opposites attract.
Okay.
And the two of them were pretty inseparable. Glenna would go with Marty on his hunting trips, and she was very happy to sit in the car and read romance novels while Marty was like off in the woods. They would often visit local casinos, and they were gambling together. They were just always together. Like, even if it was him doing something that was his hobby or her doing something that was her hobby, they would go with each other all the time. Eventually, Marty's health began to decline even more, and he ended up going on disability, full disability. And then in 2010, Glenna actually quit her job to become Marty's full-time caretaker.
Okay.
So as a result of this, so Marty was getting monthly disability, about $1,000 a month from disability. Well, Glenna started receiving $3,000 a month to be his caretaker. So like the state was paying her to be his caretaker versus having to hire out.
Right.
Like insurance having to hire out. So they were just paying her instead. So collectively, the couple was getting around $55,000 per year to not work. So like that's
what year is this? I'm sorry.
This is in 2010.
Okay. I was just like wondering, like thinking, money wise, if that was a decent amount or not.
It's a decent amount. Yeah. I mean, and it's Michigan too. I like small town Michigan. As time went on, though, Marty's mental state became more unstable. So he was getting like very controlling and having angry outbursts, and he was unable to do anything around the house. So Glenna actually had to take on like the full responsibility of everything. She had to pay the bills. She had to pay for his medical costs, like manage all of that. She'd essentially keep up with everything. And she started to become more and more resentful of her role as Marty's caregiver. And she actually began complaining to people about it. Like, he's so controlling. He's hateful all the time. Everything I do is for him. He doesn't appreciate me. And as an escape, Glenna actually began gambling obsessively. Like,
oh, man.
She was addicted to gambling. So it was said that Glenna went to the casinos once or twice a week, and she would buy lottery tickets at the local convenience store to the tune of like $50 to $100 several times a week. So this got very out of control, and in 1 year, Glenna spent $75,000 on gambling.
Well, that's more than she's making as a caregiver.
That is too much, Glenna. It's too much. Now, Marty was the opposite of this. Very frugal, and it became a point of contention between the two of them, the fact that she was gambling all of this money. He had no idea how much Glenna was actually spending on her gambling habits, but he knew that it was more than she should.
Right.
So the two of them began arguing a lot, and it actually got so difficult to live with them that Marty's 2 sons moved out of the home, like just to get away. I mean, they were older at this point as well, but they were like, bye, we got to go. Y'all be crazy. Okay. By 2015, so this is 11 years into the marriage, things were pretty bad. Glenna was like done doing everything for Marty. She would tell people at that point that she was so sick of him, she was just waiting on him to die.
Oh, man.
So that's not nice. The couple had medical bills that were going into collections that they couldn't pay for. They owed back taxes that they didn't have money for. In April of 2015, Marty's mom actually called him up on the phone one day and said that she had seen a listing in the local paper that their home was being foreclosed. Because, they have to publicize this. If they're going to foreclose on a property, they still have to do this.
Okay, but did they not get a notice? Because I'd imagine that you'd get a notice before it's publicized. So did they not know?
Marty didn't.
Oh, okay.
So Marty was like, what is this about? He was furious. He had no idea what was going on. He asked Glenna about this, and Glenna just said it must be a mistake. It must be a misprint. That they put their address in there by mistake. She would call the newspaper. She would verify with the bank. She'll get it cleared up. However, on April 28th, foreclosure papers were placed on their door. So I think at that point, Marty was like, oh, crap, we are in trouble. And it turned out that the $700 a month mortgage had not been paid in over a year. And they owed $48,000 just on their home.
Oh, wow. What I wouldn't give for a $700 mortgage, though.
I know, right? 2015, baby. Well, yeah. I'm sure they financed it before that, but
yeah.
Okay. So at that time, they only had about $500 to their name, like in their banking account, their savings account, at home in cash, like $500. So they were underwater. Like they're in trouble at this point. So this brings us to May 13th of 2015. Some of Marty and Glenna's neighbors started to become concerned because they hadn't heard from the two of them in several days. So apparently Glenna was known to like call or text her neighbors daily, one or the other. And she hadn't been doing that, and she wasn't answering any calls or texts. So the neighbors got a little worried, wondering where they were, and they went over and knocked on the door, rang the bell, didn't get an answer. So they left, but they were still worried. So they kind of kept going back. Like, oh, we'll wait a few hours. Okay, now it's after dinner. They should definitely be home. But they never could get anybody to like answer the door, or there was like no noise coming from the house. Nobody was answering the phone, nothing.
Yeah.
Eventually, after the third time, the neighbor decided that something must be going on. So there were some firemen on the street at the time because like they had been called for something else. And the neighbor walked down and asked if they would come to Marty and Glenna's house and do a welfare check on them, which they did. So they found that the door was actually unlocked, which was very odd and not like the couple because, like, why would they not lock their door, especially if they weren't home? So the neighbor just went in.
Yeah, I would. I'd be like, oh,
yeah. Right. And it's a good thing that they did because once they got in the home, they realized right away that something had happened there. So the house had been ransacked. Stuff was overturned and spilled everywhere. In the bedroom, laying on the floor, they found Marty and Glenna, both covered in blood and appeared to be dead.
Oh, no.
So they checked Marty. He was immediately pronounced dead. He was 46. However, when they went to go check to see if Glenna was okay, she like started moving and woke up. So she like her eyes like flew open. They said it scared the crap out of them. She became hysterical and confused, and she was asking where they were taking her, where was Marty, what happened, like just completely hysterical. So Marty had been shot 5 times with a .22 caliber pistol.
Yikes.
Glenna had been shot once in the head, just over her right ear. But the bullet had done no damage, shockingly, so she was still alive. There was no forced entry to the home, even though the home was like in disarray, like stuff everywhere, just trashed. But it didn't appear that anything was missing or stolen. Numerous shell casings were found in the bedroom and on the bed, but there was no murder weapon that they could find. So police were immediately at a loss as to who would have wanted to come in and like harm this couple. Like somebody had come into their home or been let in their home and shot both of them and left them for dead. There were rumors circulating that Marty and Glenna had possibly been selling Marty's prescription pain medication that he had been receiving for like his ongoing medical issues. And investigators speculated that possibly maybe this was a drug-related robbery and murder, but there were no drugs taken. like they were all home, all in the home.
Right.
So they were like, well, if somebody's going to come in for drugs, they'd have taken the drugs.
Right, yeah.
And they didn't. So that was kind of quickly ruled out. The following day, Marty's children actually gained access to the home. They got Marty's parrot, Bud, to bring back to their mothers to take care of. And they also like started going through some of the things to see if they could figure out what happened to Marty and Glenna. They found laying in the living room floor a manila envelope that apparently investigators had overlooked. Inside the envelope were 3 letters written by Glenna. 2 were to her children, and 1 was to her ex-husband. So in these letters, she asks for forgiveness from like her children and her ex, and she asked her ex to continue to take care of her kids. In one letter to her child, she says, "I'm sorry, but I love you. I'm so sorry. I've been such a disappointment to you these last 12 years or so. Please forgive me. You're one of the best things I ever did." So
that sounds like a suicide note.
That sounds an awful lot like a suicide note, which is exactly what Marty's children immediately thought, and they called police and told them about these letters. Also discovered in the living room, under the love seat, was a Ruger .6 pistol. So this gun was later determined to have been the weapon used to shoot both Marty and Glenna. And their DNA was found on the gun, like where they had been shot, and it like blew back on them. Police started looking into Glenna and Marty, and they discovered the financial issues that they had been having. So they got Glenna's cell phone records as well, and they found that in the early morning on May 13th, which is the day that the couple was found, 5 searches were done on Glenna's phone about how to like handle a Ruger .6 pistol, which is the exact pistol that was found under the love seat in the living room and was the murder weapon. A text was also sent from Glenna's phone to her mom at just before 5 a.m. that said, "Love you, sorry." Okay, so all of this is looking very suspicious for Glenna, not the good witch.
Like murder-suicide thing, or at least attempt. Yeah.
Right. And meanwhile, while all this is going on, she's in the hospital recovering from a gunshot wound to her head. So Glenna would go on to make a full recovery. She claimed that she had no memory of what happened or of the shooting. And when confronted about the like apparent suicide letters, she said she had no memory of ever writing them, although it was determined that it was her handwriting. And she claimed that she doesn't remember doing those searches on her phone. All she remembers that she was playing a game on her phone, which she would do sometimes if she couldn't sleep.
Okay. And is there a way to determine like, or is it a thing where like certain parts of your brain it would be affected by memory, or does it matter? Like,
of course, yeah, it's convenient. I mean, any brain injury can cause memory issues,
right? I didn't know if there was a spot that specifically they'd be like, well, yeah, she would suffer brain like memory issues being shot there.
Yeah, I don't know that was the case in this situation, but I also don't think that they were like, it's impossible for her to have memory issues. Right. She had a brain injury.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it just affects everybody so differently. So, but very convenient. So, police and Marty's family were very suspicious of Glenna and her potential involvement in this crime. They speculated, just like you said, that this was probably a murder-suicide attempt that had failed, likely due to the couple's extreme financial issues and instability. Marty's family were constantly asking that police look further into their theory, but police just said that they had no evidence to prove that Glenna was anything but a victim of this particular shooting as well. So they were like, yeah, it's suspicious, but like, we don't know. We can't prove it. There's no evidence to show. Marty's family was very outspoken about their opinion that Glenna was the murderer, and they would go after anyone who spoke out about her innocence. So like anybody who would take up for her, they were like, you need to shut your mouth. You're wrong. Okay. 1 year later, in June of 2016, the family got so fed up with what they felt like was police's lack of investigation into Marty's murder that Christina, Marty's ex-wife, so like the children's mother, actually ended up sending a video to a local TV station.
Okay.
The TV station aired this video, and the video went viral and gained global attention.
Oh, man.
Okay. This video was of Marty's African gray parrot, Bud.
Mm-hmm.
Since about a week after Marty and Glenna were found shot, Bud had been repeating the same phrases over and over again. And it was very clear that Bud was mimicking two different voices. So one is like a low-pitched male-sounding voice, and the other one is like a very dramatically higher-pitched voice, like a female's. And these two voices were like arguing with each other. So the male voice sounded a lot like Marty. So they know Marty's voice really well. This is Marty's parrot. It was Marty's voice that he was mimicking. And it sounded like he was fighting with what they believed was Glenna. So he was saying things like, the parrot, was saying things like, I'm going to curse, okay? Get your ass over here. I know I feel like I have to disclaimer. Beep. Okay. He would say like, get your ass over here. Shut up. And then he would say like, no. And it always ended with him saying in Marty's voice, don't effing shoot. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Okay. So I watched this video like a dozen times, and it's like, you can't understand what this parrot is saying in a lot of it, but there are phrases that you can hear extremely clearly, and you can definitely hear the two different voices. And they definitely sound like they're arguing. And that last phrase, don't effing shoot, clear as a daggone bell, in my opinion. So I'm going to play it for you. Okay.
Okay.
And you see what you hear. You see if you hear what it's like a minute. Okay.
Okay.
So it's kind of long. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I definitely heard the don't effing shoot part.
Right.
Twice at least.
And the two different voices. Did you hear? Like the lower and then the...
Well, what I was about to say is like, I'm assuming he's had that bird for a long time. Like that bird knew his voice and could do his voice to a T, because I literally thought it was a man breaking in when I first heard him say like sounding like Marty. But I was like, well, they didn't get that Marty saying that on video. So clearly this is just like the family recording it after.
They're recording the bird. Yeah.
Right. But he totally sounds like, I don't know what Marty sounds like, but he totally sounds like a man. But then the other one, so it's like he had him long enough that he could do his voice pretty much to a T. And then Glenna's, like, even though he probably lived with her for a long time, just didn't have hers down as much. And so it was just like...
Yeah. Also, Glenna the Good Witch had a real annoying voice, I think.
Yeah.
But it's very haunting to listen and think that like you are listening to essentially their last words, or Marty's last words.
Yeah. No kidding.
That's so crazy.
Oh my gosh. It's like, I mean, I was like giggling listening to it, because it's like, I'm like, I know it's a bird. but at the same time, like, I shouldn't have been, because this was like the last moments of this person's life. But like, holy cow, how like, haunting.
Wild.
That. Like,
totally haunting. Okay, so worldwide attention this video gets. Okay, and everyone's like, holy crap, like same reaction that you had, like, oh my gosh, this is insane. So police are paying attention now, and everyone is just like, oh, okay, Bud the parrot witnessed Glenna and Marty fighting and her shooting him. That's what they're thinking. Bud the parrot.
Right.
So 3 weeks after this video went up, police actually arrested Glenna for the first-degree murder of her husband.
Well, they had an eyewitness.
They have an eyewitness. So she denied an eyewitness who, by the way, is a parrot and is literally playing out the murder scene. It's bananas. Okay. So she denied having anything to do with Marty's murder. She claimed that it would have made no sense for her to kill him. She would have been better off to divorce him so that she could have fixed the financial issues. She also claimed to have no memory of that night, that her and Marty were shot. Like, deny. So Glenna went on trial in July of 2017. One of the defense's most interesting points was that, and the defense is saying this, so her attorneys, that if Glenna shot Marty and then herself in the bedroom, then how did the gun get under the love seat in the living room? Which is a really good point that I cannot answer that question. The prosecution, and except she wasn't dead, and so maybe she was just like walking around.
Right,
like
until she just laid down next to him and was like, okay, this is it. I'm going to die.
Right. So the prosecution, obviously they could not call Bud the parrot to the stand. Like, you
what
can't
did you see that night?
Swear in a parrot. Like, put your hands on the Bible. But they did have the video, and they had Christina, Marty's ex-wife, testify to like what Bud kept repeating over and over and over and over again. And it was the same every single time. Like, there's so many videos of this parrot saying literally that exact same thing. They also had the assumed suicide notes. They had the gun searches that were on Glenna's phone. And then they had the like mountain of financial issues that Marty knew nothing about that would have caused Glenna to be like desperate and want to shoot him and end her life. Very circumstantial case. But the jury found the evidence pretty damning. And bottom line, they believed Bud. They believed the parrot. So Glenna was found guilty of Marty's murder. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. She is currently 56 years old and serving her time at Women's Huron Valley Correctional Facility in Pittsfield Charter Township, Michigan. She is maybe the first person in history to ever be convicted by a bird. This case is insane.
Yes.
I can't believe that this happened in real life.
But it did. So glad that you ended up doing it, because I remember you talking about that in another case, and I don't know why I never like went and like Googled it after that, probably because I forgot after recording or whatever. But I'm so glad that, and how crazy that you ended up getting that suggestion.
I know.
Or, like, just because did it happen that way? Like,
yes,
organically too.
It did, yes. So crazy.
Gosh. That's really funny.
Case of Marty Duram.
Wow.
Bud the parrot.
Wow, good job, Bud the parrot.
I don't think he's alive anymore. Because I looked up the lifespan, and when this all came out in like 2016, he was 20. And they only lived to be like 22.
Right, yeah.
So I don't think he is alive anymore.
Even if he went beyond like the expected living, it would still be pretty old for him if he was still alive. Yeah.
But man, he sure like took up for Marty, didn't he?
Man, I didn't realize that they could be that smart where they would like repeat something that they like heard like once essentially. Or maybe twice, but like so quickly. You know, I figured you had to like, train them over and over again.
They had like these bird specialists or whatever that were like part of the trial, and a lot of them were from the defense, like disproving like he could have heard that on TV, like don't effing shoot, you can hear that watching a Western or whatever. So there's no like proof that it actually was the murder scene, you know, that he was playing out. But they were saying that this particular bird was extremely highly intelligent, and that it was common for him to like latch on to things that he were like traumatic for him. So like this was a traumatic thing that was happening. There were shots being fired because remember Marty was shot 5 times. So like there were multiple shots being fired. They were screaming. So like the bird was nervous and like probably hysterical, and that's why it latched onto it because it like burned in the bird's like trauma memory.
Interesting.
Yeah. Smart bud.
Yeah. See?
And
See,
I am not
good.
a bird person, as we know.
That's what I just said. See, birds are good. Birds are good.
Well, not if you're going to murder somebody.
Well, no, but if they can help catch your murderer.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? And I will say the family does not like whenever people say that Bud the parrot solved the case.
Well, yeah.
Because it like makes it so sensational. But like, he did though. Like, I mean, he was pivotal. He's the only reason why they actually arrested her. So
right, yeah.
Not the only reason. He was the driving force behind it.
Yeah, one of the main reasons. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Wow.
There you go. That's Marty Duram. Rest in peace, Marty.
Thanks for sending us the names, Brittany, so that we could actually report on that. Because that one's, I mean.
I remember hearing
someone was like, murdered, but it was a fun one to hear.
And this is also one of those ones where if you watched a show about it, like a fake fictional show about it, you would be like, that's too much. That's not true. This could never happen in real life because it's just like so far-fetched.
Has there been like a Dateline or anything on it, or 48 like any show on it?
Oh yeah. Several. Yep. Oh yeah.
Surprised I haven't come across it.
I'll link them. I think there's like 3.
Like that one I would remember seeing.
For sure. Well, I did. I don't know. I saw it on something.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, what happened, the way that I ended up seeing it is I was watching a show and you know how it like automatically plays the next show? And so this one started playing and it was like, and this parrot solved, and I was like, I'm going to stay right here.
Yeah.
And watch this and see what this is about. And then I remember I told you about it, but I was like, I can't remember the names, but it was like the craziest case ever. And here we are. There it is. And it is crazy.
That's fantastic.
Props to Bud.
Yes. Good job, Bud. Good job, Bud. Good job, Brittany, for sending us the name. And good job, you, reporting on it.
Thank you.
Oh, man. Well, as always, let us know what you think about that one, because that one's definitely fascinating that she would be convicted based on all that, because it still was circumstantial, technically.
Absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. So, and would she get life? Did she get life? Yeah.
Life in prison without the possibility of parole. And she's young. She's only 56 now.
Right. Yeah.
And has been in since 2017.
And she really may have no memory of it. Like, that may all be like... She
still claims that she has no memory, yes. And that she is innocent.
Right.
She would never kill Marty.
Wow. Interesting.
Also, I do want to say at the end of his life, he did not have a mullet. But there was a time in which he did, and it is my favorite time for him.
Your favorite era? The
His
mullet
era, yeah. I was just getting ready to say that too. I enjoyed his mullet era.
And yet another Taylor Swift link.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Nope. Always. Anyways, let us know what you think. Go check us out on social media. Will you post the link to that video?
Sure. Yeah, I might. Yes, I will. It's in the show notes too.
Well, that's what I meant. Like, yeah.
Absolutely.
There. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And can you just send that to me too?
Yeah.
Like, just personally, just shoot it over to me, because I need Emery to hear that. Anyways, all right. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll be back again next week with another amazing case, I'm sure. And always remember, the world is scary. People suck. Hide in your closet.